Africa is too divided. Right now, there are over 8 regional communities in Africa. You start with the Maghreb, which puts up the Arab there, the Arab,
the CEMAC, the ECOWAS,
Morocco, Tunisia.
There is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
So let us, as we talk about central banking, let us be measured in our language. We are not comparing like with like.
True.
And I'm saying all this because it is important that we realize and to contextualize this in history, to know our real circumstances.
Ladies and gentlemen, how you guys doing, man? Thank you for tuning in. And of course, you know who this is, man. My name is Mr. Jaay. And if you've been following me, man, you know that I do have a music reaction channel, which we are almost 40,000 strong. And I've been doing that for the past 3 years. And I did announce on that I will be dropping a new channel that we going to target the politics coming out from motherland. So a whole lot of issues has been happening from motherland recently, and I do think that us motherlandians in the diaspora, we need to keep pushing and making people understand us. So the name of this channel is actually Motherland DNA, because I do believe that if you have this color, it doesn't matter what part of the globe you are born in, bro, you have links with the motherland. You dig, go trace your roots and go back. And for a couple of years now, I've been following this great conscious mind, this great scholar. He goes by the name Professor PLO Lumumba, man. This man he has been educating us all across the globe. If you know him, then you definitely heard watched some of his speeches. And recently, man, this man dropped something on the peace, unity, and love agenda for motherland, and I just wanted to start this new channel with that, man. And he spoke about African unity in terms of one currency from motherland. And you guys remember, man, I think that there was the great Muammar Gaddafi who tried to do this, and we all know the outcome. You smell me? But before we get started, I will be grateful if you can just, pause for a minute and you hit that subscribe button and you can subscribe to this new channel, because we are going to be dropping a vlog every week or twice a week, but we have to decide on that. And the goal is that's how you will help the channel explode real quick. Now, share, and let's talk about this. Let me back it up and let's get started. You feel me? Make Africa great again. Let's go.
So let us, as we talk about central banking, let us be measured in our language. We are not comparing like with like.
Hold on, let me say, this was he was speaking at the African Central Bank Conference. And that was this year, the 15th and the 16th of March. Okay, it can be done. Let's go, man.
Talk about central banking, let us be measured in our language. We are not comparing like with like. And I'm saying all this because it is important that we realize and to contextualize this in history, to know our real circumstances.
You gotta know.
Because history is what gives us the context.
You gotta know your history, man. If we do not know our history, if we do not let our history be known, we would not actually know what's happening. That's the saying that a child who knows where he's coming from knows exactly where he's going to. You dig? If you don't know where you're going to, you gotta look behind, and that's history. Let's go.
To know our real circumstances. Because history is what gives us the context. That famous Roman orator Cicero once said, if we do not learn from the past, then we remain children forever.
Facts. Let me say that again. If we do not learn from the past, you will not know exactly how the future will be. That's in my own word, though. Just like I just said, man, a child who doesn't know where he's coming from doesn't know where he's going to. Our people need to know exactly where we came from and where we want to be.
Not learn from the past, then we remain children forever. We remain adults in diapers.
Oh.
We must look at the past in order to inform the present. But as I said before I went on a tangent,
look at the past to inform the present, and then you prepare for the future. This man is smart, bro.
why is Africa always attractive? The game in town now is have you a piece of Africa. That is the new game in town.
Word.
And it's a game that is being played at all levels. There'll be sugarcoating. You'll be told that there is partnership, but the partnership that Africa has between the West and her is like the partnership between the horse and the rider.
Holy shit. He always says it as it is, which is why some of us, I'm a proud student of this man because I've read a whole lot of his work. I've watched it, and man, this is what we need. We need more of this, man. And there's Dr. Umar in the US who's doing a see, I want to see a conference where Dr. Umar and this professor sit down and we talk about motherland. You feel me? Everybody, man, everybody wants a piece of motherland because that is where everything started from. You cannot tell me otherwise. That is where everything started from. And if you look at the globe today, man, every natural resource that you want for any product, you will find it in motherland. I repeat, any natural resource that you want for any product, you will see it in motherland. The continent is blessed, so everybody's fighting for it. But we see what is already happening in this time. Nowadays, man, China is in that commanding seat. Let's keep going.
That is the relationship. Don't be cheated. Because the reality is we are weak.
True.
And in a weak state, we cannot negotiate.
Did you guys hear that? We are weak, and in our weak state, we cannot negotiate. You cannot be weak and you try to negotiate. You are like the old lion in the jungle, man. Hyenas gonna tear up your ass.
The reality is we are weak. And in a weak state, we cannot negotiate. In monetary terms and in all these terms.
True.
We cannot dictate. Standard Bank is over 160 years old. Not an African bank. May say it is.
Bro, if you want to negotiate, you gotta be tough, you gotta be strong, you gotta be healthy. That translates into you gotta be firm, bro. When you look at some of the superpowers around the globe today, when they go to the United Nations to talk politics, bro, there are countries that you cannot neglect them. I'm talking about we'll talk about China, we'll talk about Russia. These are countries that, bro, they don't take shit from nobody. You feel me? Now look at motherland. Some of these countries, man, they've spoken out, they've talked about the importance of motherlandians standing, like African nations just standing on their own. And we are starting to see that move of many African nations moving towards these countries because they are tired of what they've been through, man. So, man, he's just saying as it is.
In its adverts, it will say it is. But I'll not manufacture good news.
Facts.
I'll say it as I see it.
Necessary, man.
It is a foreign bank that has acclimatized, whose DNA is still fundamentally Eurocentric.
Whoever said Standard Bank was African, that's crazy, man. If you said that, or if you thought that just because you work with them or you have a bank account with them, you are slow. But my man say, I do not manufacture these facts, you dig? But
traumatized, whose DNA is still fundamentally Eurocentric. And that is true of many banks. It has made its own positive contribution.
True.
It cannot be denied.
True.
But how does Africa benefit?
See, one of the reasons I like listening to him is he will give you an image. He will paint the image as honestly as he can. Like, he will tell you like positive and good thing, but at the end of his speeches, he always gives you his opinion. It might be indirectly, but if you pay attention, if you understand as a rational human being, you will get the message.
Look at the entire banking sector and the entire banking ecosystem. If you want to move money, it is SWIFT. I think SWIFT is incorporated in Switzerland. Little Switzerland. If I want to move money from South Africa to Nairobi, the Federal Bank of South Africa will ask many questions, and then I'll provide a SWIFT number. Then the intermediary bank will be in New York.
We have to kill all of these things, man. How come you are you are in Africa, you want to do business, you want to move money, right? The intermediary bank is going to be maybe offshore. I've always asked myself this question: why? What is it about us that we cannot create our own banking system, which we can easily move money around us? Even this mobile money things, man. Some of these cell phone providers that have their mother heads in foreign countries. It's not really, But see, he keeps saying it as it is.
In Mozambique, in New York. If it is going to Europe, it is IBAN.
IBAN SWIFT.
We are not in control. I listen to the panel, and I respect all of them.
But
they are talking about clouds. Whose clouds? Whose clouds?
Remember I told you that he will always give you a picture. He will paint it the black and the... I respect him, but hey, let me give my opinion. And he is well informed, man.
They are talking about digitization. Whose digitization? They are talking about cryptocurrency. Whose cryptocurrency?
Whose?
You can be switched off in the twinkling of an eye and you are back in the dark ages.
True.
That is the reality. There's a saying in my...
True. I just want to say this, man. With the creation of digital currency, you guys see that it is not welcomed by some of these traditional banks because it is the beginning of the fall of these traditional banks. Now, in Brazil today, there's a digital bank called Nubank. Now, this ish started a couple of years ago. It fundraised and it got, bro, let me tell you today, majority of Brazilians own Nubank. Because, man, it's a digital bank. People got tired of traditional banks. Now, I'm saying this for Brazil because Brazil's like a second home to me. But this is the question though. Why do we have to have all of these things still in place for people in motherland? Why? See, this man, he makes you think out the box, man.
This is the reality. There's a saying in my mother tongue. When you are milking a borrowed cow, you must always look towards the gate because the owner may come at any time.
When you are milking a borrowed cow, you always have to look towards the gate or the door because the owner can come anytime. Bro, this is deep on every level, man. I don't know if you're paying attention, man. This is deep on every level.
When you are milking a borrowed cow, you must always look towards the gate because the owner may come at any time. And I'm saying that Africa is milking borrowed cows.
Facts. And then we talk about peace, unity, and love. Like we're milking borrowed cows. It's funny, man. We have borrowed cows in every situation, every level of society in motherland, bro. I'm talking about from the donation. I'm talking about from the loans we keep taking. I'm talking about from the aid. All of these things. That is why these Western countries dare to change regimes that stand against their wishes. Pay attention. This is deeper than banking, though.
It is milking borrowed cows, and we must be on the lookout. You know, I believe it can be done.
Me too.
Because during my own lifetime, still talking about the attractiveness of Africa, I've seen the Chinese rise on their own terms.
Facts.
The Indians are now beginning to rise on their own terms.
But did you know that India is gradually coming up? Did you know that there are more billionaires from India nowadays? Yes, man. There are people with crazy money. And do you know that Silicon Valley is filled with technicians from India? They hire from India. That is how powerful. That is how powerful India is. You feel me? But this whole China the storyline, man, the West doesn't want to hear that.
Attractiveness of Africa. I've seen the Chinese rise on their own terms. The Indians are now beginning to rise on their own terms. But Africa does not rise
Unfortunately.
on our own terms.
Unfortunately, that's the case. Why? But we have all the resources. Why are we not rising? That is a problem. We have to have a paradigm shift.
She's defined by others and she accepts that definition.
That's crazy.
I'm suggesting that this is the forum at which we must ask fundamental questions if we want to really revolutionize Africa so that the work that you do will be beneficial to the continent of Africa. You know, mobile money is good.
It is good.
Old people in my rural village can receive money from me even as I sit here. But which is the medium? Safaricom it is called. But who is the bigger shareholder? Vodafone of the United Kingdom.
It gotta be linked to Europe, man. It gotta be linked to the colonizer, man. It gotta be linked to the imperialist. Why? That's the question.
I'll be told that is globalization, but what is globalization? This thing we call globalization, what is it? First of all, we are using English words. And somebody once told me that no civilization can ever realize our potential using the language of another. There is merit in that.
I believe that. China, Mandarin, Cantonese, they stuck to their language. You want to do business in China, you got to learn the language. You want to do business in the Arabic states, you got to learn to speak, not English, but see, motherland, it's crazy, man.
We Africans think that if you speak good English, then you are intelligent, or French, or Portuguese. That you cannot be intelligent when you are speaking isiZulu and isiXhosa.
Why?
But anyway, it is useful we are speaking it now.
The man is funny, bro. It's funny. It's funny, man. See, we grew up, my generation, we grew up thinking that. Some people, some kids still think that till today. You feel me? I speak 5 languages. But to be honest, though, I would tell you this. Most of the times, I would rather have my son learn how to speak his mother tongue. Dig?
I'm suggesting that when we look at globalization and we talk about the banking sector being globalized, we must also look at the adaptability of the global aspects to the unique African markets.
Facts.
And those African markets must be markets that begin to work together. Because if Africans continue to work as they are in these little units that you have, then let me tell you, you will be dominated, as indeed you are being dominated.
This man, bro, this man, he calls it as it is. When you look at Africa, you have all of these economic cliques, man. I would call it cliques or gangs, bro. Yes, it's sad. We need to be bonding. And when we're talking about banking, bro, what will bond us is a single currency, which is made in motherland. I don't have to pay any taxes to an intermediary bank to transfer money from my African country to another African country. This shit is a problem, man. But many people don't see it. Which is why today we have the creation of BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China. South Africa is involved, and Saudi Arabia is about to join that ish. So this is the power that we can take back from the imperialist, the colonialist. You dig? It's something that is serious matter, bro.
I go back to 1963. We recognize that if we worked as a team, then we would not be susceptible to manipulation.
True. Dr.
So
Kwame
going
Nkrumah.
forward, what must we do?
During the independence run in most African states, man, we had the Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, we had the Muammar Gaddafi, may his blessed soul rest in peace. We had the Samore of, I think it's Mozambique. Yeah, we had a whole lot of, we had a whole lot of I'm talking about firepower, bro. We had the Nnamdi Azikiwe's from Nigeria. I don't know what happened, bro. It's like we just lost it, bro. Of course, when you lose it from that point, man, anything that comes is, and back in my college days, we were taught the whole assimilation, association. Like if you spoke better French, you belong. If you spoke the language of the colonial masters, they regarded you differently. They gave you scholarships to go study in their countries. There were even schools for kings and people. That was all to divide us. And today we are seeing the effect.
Africa must begin to wean herself off the breasts of foreign systems, but borrow from them. Right now, indeed, as we were driving here, I saw 2 Chinese banks. They are here. Just Chinese. And imagine when the Chinese are in Africa, who gets annoyed? Not us. It's the Americans. They are very angry.
Why?
Because you are reducing the size of their pie.
But why? This is the thing, bro. China is that superpower that is already, he is here. China is here. There's no way you can take China out of the picture. China is a major threat to all of these Europeans and these Americans, man. Why would a European president be mad that Chinese people are doing business in Africa? I don't get the point. But that is because they already know. You feel me? People in motherland, we don't care. We just need somebody that's gonna deal fairly with us. And China is that partner. So many people are waking up. Why are they upset though? Ask yourself this question. You feel me?
So what must Africa do? Africa has thought about it. Africa Agenda 2063, which came into force in the year 2013, was one of the emblematic resolutions by the African continent that going forward, we are going to make sure that the African continent becomes a continent that is a major player in the international arena. And these are the 7 pillars that we are going to use to undergird our desire to move in the right direction.
They started already. 2013, we are in 2023. That's like 10 years in. you start seeing that a whole lot of these things are turning towards China. We will talk about the whole lending process of the World Bank, the IMF, and the high interest rates compared to what the Chinese government is giving at low interest rate. We will talk about that. This is a new channel, but bro, we got a whole lot we will talk about.
I did not see emphasis in the financial sector. But the financial sector is this sector. And I hope that if, when it is being implemented, my friend Wamkele Mene, I'm told, was here, that when Africa Agenda 2063 is being implemented, that one of the critical things would be moving towards having a common financial policy, a common banking policy, which is not blind to the nuances of the different communities in the continent of Africa.
One currency, one banking system, a common. It is not supposed to be one, it has to be common. Like if you want to move money from here to there, the continent benefits. I'm in support of that. See, when they came up with all this plan for 2063, bro, they were not even focused on the pivotal part. Nowadays, man, money is everything. If somebody tells you that it's not, man, just give them a slap, you dig? Because you cannot do anything without money. Nowadays, man, forget everything. Do not be blind fool. So if they control that financial part of you, they control you. Look at what is happening with the French colonies in Africa. They have a single currency. None of them is evolving. Yes, France changes their regimes that is not willing to play fair game with France. But that is the sickness. He is pointing it out. It's crazy.
The Europeans have done it. There are 27 member countries under the euro.
Facts.
Even weak countries such as Greece who are brought together. How many of you will forget how the Italian lira used to be? It used to be like the Zimbabwean bond.
True.
How many of you will forget how the Spanish peseta used to be?
Right.
But one magnet country in the name of Germany brought them together, and today the euro competes side by side with the dollar because they recognize if you are going it alone, then you are weak.
How I wish that some of these greedy bastards we call African leaders can actually try to put some of these things, man. Forget about your personal, forget about that stuff, man. Think about the larger picture. See, Germany during the times of Otto von Bismarck started planning the whole Eurozone thing. Eurozone didn't come out of nowhere. This is not something that just, no, but they were planning it. And look at what the Euro is doing today. But see, some of these members, they will go out to their colonies and try to destabilize them because they know that if you come together, bro, you are a threat. That is what he's saying. Not every country in the Eurozone is a good country. There are countries in Africa that are way better than European countries. I will tell you that. If you don't believe me, show me.
Africa must begin to move in that direction. Suppose we had one currency.
Imagine
but before I go into that one currency, the Africa Agenda 2063 provides us with an opportunity of ensuring that we have these ideas that we want to give practical meaning.
Muammar Gaddafi thought about this, the Afro. He was actually working towards this. But they killed him. Some of you guys don't even understand the whole, yes, they killed the man. And everybody that has been for the unity of Africa, man, they kill him. We can talk about a whole lot of them. You have Muammar Gaddafi of recent memories. We have Patrice Lumumba. We have a whole lot of them. They just kill him like that. Let's wake up, man.
Africa is too divided. Right now, there are over 8 regional communities in Africa. You start with the Maghreb, which puts up the Arab there, the Arab,
the CEMAC, the ECOWAS,
Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, and Egypt. Then you go to ECOWAS. Then you come here in SADC. then you go to East African Community, go to the Central Africa. All these wrecks doing their own things. But the most important thing is that we must begin to read from the same script, because
divided we fall, united we stand. Always, always. I had a debate about this a couple of years ago. I still cry when I see these things, but
under Africa Agenda 2063, we also say that we want to have Africa Continental Free Trade Area.
I think it started already.
Free trade area. Free trade area where if I go to Namibia, I'm asked, what has brought you here? And I'm from Kenya. Free trade area where we still have visa regimes. Free trade area where we still have all these tariff and non-tariff barriers. Free trade area where our currency of trade is the United States dollars. You cannot do it.
Bro, that's it. You can't. And do you know that as a citizen from one country in Africa, you are not even welcome in another country? Do you know? Yeah, but we preach free trade. Man, see, I love this man. You dig out, man. Look, I would like my son to grow up to things like this. He should understand things like this. You dig? And I pray that the new generation, man, you guys listen to shit like this.
We must begin, and you bankers must begin to think about, you'll tell me we have RTGS, South Africa is now settling things through RTGS, but that depends on the mood of South Africa. If South Africa becomes moody, then everything goes haywire.
Talking about South Africa, man, I think the whole xenophobic thing, I mean, South Africa, it has been pronounced that these guys do not welcome other African citizens. They don't. There's something which was recently on the news, the Dudula. I don't think it's like a vigilante something in some part of South Africa. Correct me if I'm wrong, but why would you see another African citizen as a threat and you are from Africa? Yes, your economy is better than some of, but then, bro, wake up, man. Wake up.
We must have something that is a lot more stable. And I'm suggesting to you that you who are the central bankers and commercial bankers are the ones who are in the best place to articulate these things working with universities. But African universities, if you go to departments of economics, they're still reading the works of John Maynard Keynes and Adam Smith. Not from a historical perspective. It is as if it's freshly baked ideas of economic governance.
Why? Why are we still teaching our kids about some old dumb white folk shit? And we have our own realities. Look, like I keep saying, man, I would like to see Dr. Umar do, man, with this man. They're gonna hate them for life.
And Michael Todaro. I'm suggesting to us that there is an opportunity for Africa to do things if it is united in that regard. Which then brings me to what is it in practical terms that Africa must therefore begin to do, particularly from the perspective of you who are in central banking and you who are in the space, which space is significant as we want to push Africa forward.
Remember, I told you that he always gives you an image. He gives you the good, the bad image, and then he gives you his opinion. Thesis, antithesis, brand new thesis. Pay attention. Mr. J. Smart like that.
As I've already indicated, many African institutions are not homegrown. And those of you who are from the United States of America and familiar with African history, African American history, will remember a man called John Henry Clark.
True.
John Henry Clark said, and I agree with him, that when African countries regained independence, each one of them adopted a system that was borrowed from their former colonizers.
So true, man. So true. We see it all over. And it's very common, like I would talk about, say charity begins at home. I will talk about Cameroon because you will go to Cameroon, you will see the French speaking part, they think that they are better than the English speaking part. Because the mindset is what? Oh, I'm associated, I'm assimilated, I believe more in France and its cultures than, you know, it's, let me tell you, the cultures are totally different, even to their eating habits. This is a Cameroonian born talking about that. It's crazy, bro. But this man is very smart.
A mimicry of it. And he went on to say that none of the African countries will ever succeed on the basis of those systems. I agree.
They're not.
Look at any African country. When you think that you have cured a wound, a new and even bigger wound appears.
And the colonialists always create this. You feel me? They always do this. It's just that it's rather unfortunate that some of our leaders just don't get it. I don't know if it's, they travel, man. They travel out. They see things, but they come back home to the same mess. It's still, I mean, it beats my imagination why a wealthy African would think that the best place to keep my money is in a European bank, an American bank, a Swiss bank. But of course, we understand that back at home, bro, they don't put structures like that. The president of Russia once said a rich African would rather go to Europe for treatment. These are all things that we need to look at as a people.
Why? Because the fundamentals are not known to you. Because the entire underpinning issues are not of your own. Right now, as I speak to you, you'll see, and sometimes I annoy people, and I will do so this very minute.
When you speak the truth, you become a target. You annoy people who don't like to hear the truth. You feel me? It's just what it is. But he understood that.
You will see the former Prime Minister of Britain called Mr. Tony Blair. One time in 1980 he said that Africa...
he about to go. He about to go in. He told you that he annoyed people, but I have to say it.
The former Prime Minister of Britain called Mr. Tony Blair.
Get him, get him.
One time in 1980 he said that Africa is a scar on the conscience of the world.
That fool said that Africa is a scar, the conscience of the world. If it is, why are you people still going to Africa to get resources? Why are you people mad that China is overtaking you guys in Africa? I would like to know if that's what Mr. Tony Blair feels today. I honestly want to know. Like, man, I feel insulted.
That Africa is a scar on the conscience of the world. One of the most painful statements I've ever heard. Condescending.
Bro, that shit should hurt. I feel hurt right now. Like, if I was going downstairs and I met him, it's going to be lights out.
Any sensible Africa took umbrage. Today, Tony Blair is the advisor of many African countries. And some of you come from central banks where Tony Blair is advising.
Oh, he going. He telling them. But see, that's the stupidity of some of these puppets that these colonial masters put in place. They don't listen once you give them that money.
Advisor of many African countries. And some of you come from central banks where Tony Blair is advising. Do you think he advises your central bank for your benefit?
That's the question.
He cannot. He does it for the benefit of his country. And do I begrudge him? No.
Ladies and gentlemen, That shit by Mr. Tony Blair, let me just say this.
It pisses me off. Now these are the kinds of minds that we need. You need to listen to this, man, so that you can work your spirit so you can get mad. You feel me? A whole lot I want to say, but I'm going to save it. Please leave a comment what you think about this speech. Let's start having this conversation. On this new channel, we will be talking about that. You dig? That's my time, man. It's motherland DNA. Wake up that consciousness. You feel me? Peace.
There is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.